There are a lot of questions that have been asked since the dawn of time, but the prevalence of AI has brought one question to the front of many minds. What is the value of human life? A quick Google search says that in Western countries, a human life is worth $1 to $10 million. In the interest of fairness, I asked an AI what they thought a human life was worth, but unfortunately, she just kept saying that assigning a monetary value to life is unethical. Weird. Well, ignoring that, I decided to dig a little deeper. Remember that number Google gave me? As it turns out, it goes by a lot of names, including implied cost of averting a fatality, value of preventing a fatality, and value of a statistical life. It essentially analyzes the worth of reducing safety risks, and calculating it is complicated, to say the least. It's used in creating safety regulations and calculating insurance payouts, among other things. And despite how interesting some of the controversies are, this doesn't tell me what a life is worth, so much as what reducing the likelihood of death should cost. When I started this project, my first thought was, what does a person go for on the black market? I found the Global Report on Trafficking in Persons, 2022, a paper by the United Nations. The report is 180 pages long and covers 11 findings from trafficking cases all over the world. But not all of it's good. Pay attention to the wording they use. There was an 11% decrease in overall detected victims worldwide compared to 2019. That's great, right? Well, the first thing you need to know is that most trafficking victims are taken by trafficking organizations. And most of the time, these organizations are run either like a business or a government. To them, people are a product. Think about that. These people are treated as less than human in order to meet a demand. 70 to 80% of all victims experience some sort of significant violence. And just like our legal businesses survived the pandemic, the illegal ones likely did too. When COVID caused many of our legal businesses and crime-fighting organizations to suffer from lack of personnel, it's highly possible that organized crime slipped through the cracks. Having to work around closed borders and tight restrictions might have pushed them so far underground that they are now undetectable. Many of these factors also changed the nature of human trafficking, creating new forms with different demand. Men and boys now make up 23 and 17%, respectively, of all trafficking victims, compared to 13 and 3% in 2004. Human trafficking for forced labor skyrocketed, and is now in equal demand with sexual exploitation. In the entire 186-page report, there are only 2 mentions of what human traffickers make. In one case, police stormed a house in Los Angeles and found $1.5 million in cash, and evidence of tens of millions of dollars laundered to Southeast Asia. The second instance was an almost offhand comment on an excerpt on the recent increase in male trafficking. $200 to $250. That is how much a male labor slave costs. $200? The Global Financial Integrity says that human trafficking generated $150.2 billion in 2017. How many people do you need to sell to get to that number? I decided this can't be right and took another approach. While organ trafficking only makes up an estimated 0.2% of all trafficking, I figured it would be the best way to get some numbers. Before we get started, though, I want to bring your attention to an important fact highlighted by the Interagency Coordination Group Against Trafficking in Persons, otherwise known as ICAT, in the report Trafficking in Persons for the Purpose of Organ Removal. The quote goes, "Current official figures of its prevalence certainly underrepresent the magnitude of this phenomenon. Notably, there are a series of difficulties associated with detecting and adjudicating this crime, such as its characteristic occurrence in legitimate medical settings where it can be easily disguised. In other words, organ trafficking is often done in legal settings, which makes it hard to track. There are actually 2 crimes that go hand in hand: trafficking for the purpose of organ removal and organ trafficking. Trafficking for the purpose of organ removal is exactly what it sounds like, a subcategory of human trafficking. Organ trafficking wasn't clearly defined until 2015, when the COE Convention Against Trafficking in Humans' Organs was published. I'm focusing specifically on organ trafficking. It is estimated that organ traffickers make $840 million to $1.5 billion per year, and that is just conservative estimates. 10% of all organ transplants are trafficked. Wait, how can that be? Don't these people know that they are contributing to a terrible cause? Are these people terrible people? No. Often they are just desperate. Over 100,000 kidneys are bought off the black market every year, which isn't a surprise given that the average wait time for a legal kidney in Canada is 4 to 7 years. Imagine you're dying, or maybe it's your mom, your child, your sibling. They need a kidney transplant. They're in pain all the time and are likely to die within the next couple of years. You know that they most likely aren't going to get the transplant because the wait list is just so long. Suddenly, a doctor says that he can fix it all. He can get you a kidney tomorrow, so long as you pay him anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000. He'll take you away and fix all your problems. You can go and live a happy life for the next 50 years. Do you take it? Well, at that price, it's practically a steal, considering the average kidney transplant in the US costs $442,000. Except they don't know that they are far more likely to experience complications. Disease, infection, organ rejection, and so many other things are far more likely to affect or kill patients with black market kidneys. Donors, if you can call them that, are also put at significant risk, particularly because black market surgeons don't care about the person once they have their organs. These donors are often promised work, money, debt forgiveness, or some other value, but are frequently undercut or never paid in any way at all. There is no standard in the black market organ trade. One person bought a kidney for $20, while others pay up to $200,000. The most a donor received, according to the Trafficking in Human Organs report, was $20,000, while most of the others received around $3,000, if they were even paid at all. Is that it? Have we found the value of a human life? But what value is it? Is it the $1,000,000 life insurance policy? The $250 paid for a slave? A life saving implant for $200,000 someone bought knowing that someone else's family likely was received nothing in return? In the end, I think it was the AI who ironically came the closest to a true answer. A human life is worth what you decide it to be worth. Live your life so that when you look back, you can say it was a life worth living.